Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, Europe. I am here. I'm in a new time slot. I'm in a new room because my kids are in school where I normally stream from. Um, yeah, I'm in my son's room. That's why there's a dinosaur behind me. Oh, Aiden's joining for lunch break. That's good. I figured there might be some people who did that. That's good. Hopefully this works for a good number of people today. Hello, hello, everybody. Is the stream doing okay? Everyone hearing me well? Like I said, new place, new setup. That's I think it's a T-Rex. I think. Yeah, it's gotta be, right? But yeah, it could be dragon. We could go dragon for today. Oh, a lot of people here. Awesome. Oh, figure skating is on. I didn't realize. Where are the worlds being held this year, Nikki? Quentin's here. Awesome. Yeah, probably not a very convenient time slot for SA on Thursday evenings, is it? I see some new names here too. Hopefully, hopefully these are folks. Julia, Jonathan. Although Jonathan, I think you've joined before, right? A couple people who haven't been in before. That's awesome. Oh, the worlds are in Sweden. Cool. Um, so the ring goes south. We're doing a full chapter. It's been a while since we've just had one chapter fully to focus on. Although we did many meetings in 1 week too, right? So that's good. Um, oh, Jonathan's girlfriend is joining under Jonathan's name. Hello, Jonathan's girlfriend. Um, okay, so let's dive into the Ring Goes South. I enjoyed this chapter a lot. I feel like this is one of those ones where like it's transitional, right? So there was the big Council of Elrond, the doom has been deemed, right? And then they kind of get onto the road, and it kind of feels like not a lot happens. I mean, there's weather and all that, and that's kind of interesting. But like I don't know, kind of waiting for it to pick up again after the whole flight to the fort and everything. So I found a lot of value in reading this slowly and making notes and stuff. I found a lot of interest here for myself. A lot that I had kind of like hurriedly skipped through in all of my other reads, where I just kind of like, oh yeah, I want to get to the nameless fear and whatnot, right? So I want to get into that, but let's start when we haven't done this before. But let's start. Oh no, I guess it's not. It's still in this chapter. I was gonna say let's start by going back a chapter, but it's still in this chapter. It's just earlier on. So Quentin and Jesse, and I think others have been talking on Discord, including into today, about the passage referred to in Jesse's question about why what only Elrond knew about the about Aragorn when setting out. I'll read the passage. Um, I wrote down 364. Where is it? There it is. It is 364. Okay. This is after the farewells had been said in the Great Hall. Aragorn sat with his head bowed to his knees. Only Elrond knew fully what this hour meant to him. The others could be seen as grey shapes in the darkness. So that this moment would weigh heavily on Aragorn is not really striking to me. I think for reasons articulated well both by Quentin and Jesse, there are many reasons why this should weigh on him, and I think that both made good points. I think Lindy Melavara also said some good points on this, and I think summed it up well. The the one thing that I would add to that discussion is I'm not sure that it's um, clear to me that what Aragorn has primarily on his mind on this day when he's setting out to fulfill his destiny and his doom is at hand and all that. I'm not sure that it's clear to me from the council and what he said there that what he's primarily thinking of is the kingship. I think that yes, I mean it's on the table that he is the heir of Isildur and that he has a claim on the kingship. He is not the king, um, but to me, it's more about him being the enemy of Sauron. This is his hour to confront Sauron. This is his hour to fulfill his destiny of being the opponent of the enemy. And I think that's maybe it's a subtle difference, but because if you defeat Sauron, then you know what's going to happen, and you know who you're going to get to marry and all that stuff. But I think that, and this is okay, I'll get into spoilers to the end of the book, so skip ahead if you don't want to have it spoiled. But when Aragorn gets to Minas Tirith, he arrives as basically as a conquering general, right? He the Lord of Minas Tirith is dead. He's just swept in and delivered the city from its enemies. This is why wouldn't if this is what it's about, if his setting out is about reclaiming the kingship, that's a reasonable time to do it, right? He doesn't claim the kingship. He assiduously avoids any suggestion of that. He doesn't even want to enter the city. His job isn't done. He still has to go and have his moment of destiny, right? He could just become king. Like, he could be crowned pretty quickly. That would probably happen. And then he could go on and see, okay, what else needs to be done? If that were his destiny, that, what it really meant, he's sitting there with his head bowed, I'm going to be king, I'm going to be king, I'm going to be king. What's that mean? That's not really it. That's not my read of it. He's setting out to confront Sauron. He's setting out to either defeat Sauron or be destroyed. The kingship happens later. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen. Great. But I don't think what's weighing heavily on him in this moment is, okay, I'm going to claim my birthright now. I'm going to, take back the crown that is mine. And that's, to me, a subtle but an important distinction. And I think that that's what I take from that. Okay. I'm going to give a thumbs up. We're all done for Lara and anyone else who has muted the for the spoilers. You can turn the mic back on. Okay, so what else? Kelly Marie also posted some questions, which is awesome. I always love Jesse's questions, but I also love when other people take it upon themselves to post as well. So I wanted to address at least one of them. And it's a good question, one that I have often wondered. So we know that Aragorn and Boromir are setting out in this fellowship, not with the intention of going with Frodo to Mount Doom. They're on their way to Minas Tirith. That's their plan. Their roads converge for a while, or they're together for a while, so might as well tag along, but it's not their plan to go to Mordor. Kelly Murray's question is, what is Gimli's plan here? And I would extend that to, what is Legolas's plan here? And I don't think, unless I haven't read closely enough, that we get that clearly articulated, but what I would say is that we are informed by Elrond's words, his last word, as he says. The ring-bearer is setting out on the quest of Mount Doom. That's interesting. It's interesting to me that he's the ring-bearer and he's setting out on a quest, but it's not the quest of the ring. It's the quest of Mount Doom. On him alone is any charge laid, neither to cast away the ring, nor to deliver it to any servant of the enemy, nor indeed to let any handle it, save members of the company and the council, and only then in gravest need. Let's pause on that for a second before we get into it. So the next sentence will inform a little bit what the others are doing. On him alone is any charge laid. The use of the passive voice there grammatically conceals who is laying the charge, right? Who lays the charge on Frodo to do these things or not do these things? Is it Elrond? Why does he have authority to lay this charge? On whose behalf is he laying this charge on Frodo? Is it just sort of there generally is a charge? Has Frodo made oath on this? It kind of reads like he has, right? It kind of reads like he has said, you know, in fulfillment of the oath which you have taken. But I don't really recall that. I mean, there's no indication of that unless his words at the council, I will take the ring. I mean, that's oath adjacent, right? I mean, that's said in a manner that a reasonable person could understand to be, you know, committing to, right? But those are the charges that are laid upon him by some unknown actor. It's interesting. Nor indeed to let any handle it, save members of the company and the council. Of the company and the council, and only then in gravest need. Why is there a distinction made between the two? So the council, that presumably is the White Council, of whom Saruman was a member, presumably this charge excludes him. Who else is a member? Well, Elrond and Gandalf. Gandalf is then included in both categories. Why is Elrond included in this? He's leaving Elrond. Presumably if he's seeing Elrond again, the charge is laid on him basically to go and either fulfill the pledge or not come back. How's Elrond going to get access to it again? I don't think he's going to. We're going to meet someone else who's on the White Council. So I guess in gravest need, he would not be, abandoning his pledge if he lets her handle it. I guess it's just weird to me that there's a distinction there. Okay, let's get to the others. So Nikki asked before we get into it, was that their plan though? Presuming you mean Aragorn and Boromir, or was it originally all of their plans to go to Mount Doom first and then Minas Tirith, for example? No, I don't think so. I think I'm gonna see if I can find it, but I think it seems clear. Yeah, so through page 359, when it is found that when it said that Aragorn will follow Frodo, or go with Frodo, be one of the companions. And Frodo says, I would have begged you to come, said Frodo, only I thought you were going to Minas Tirith with Boromir. I am, said Aragorn, and the sword that was broken shall be reforged ere I set out to war. But your road and our road lie together for many hundreds of miles. Therefore Boromir will also be in the company. He is a valiant man. So, I am going to Minas Tirith with Boromir, but your road and our road lie together for many hundreds of miles. That implies to me that after a few hundred miles, their roads diverge, and they have different roads. So, and I think at Parth Galen, we'll also see that he's struggling with this choice later. Okay, while we're here though, let's talk. Okay, no. Let me stay on track, and then we'll come back to that. The others, this is Elrond again, the others go with him as free companions to help him on his way. You may tarry, or come back, or turn aside into other paths as chance allows. The further you go, the less easy will it be to withdraw, yet no oath or bond is laid on you to go further than you will, for you do not yet know the strength of your hearts, and you cannot foresee what each may meet upon the road. So let's talk about that in a minute, that last part. But the first part, the others go with him as free companions to help him on his way. Tarry, come back, turn aside. You may do any of these things as chance allows. We know that Aragorn and Boromir are intending to turn aside into another path. Which is interesting phrasing now that I say it out loud, because one of them does turn aside to another path. Any hoozle. What does that mean for Gimli and Legolas? Absent any other direction, I have to believe that they're intending to go indefinitely, right? The only people we know, and that would go for Gandalf too. And it goes for Merry and Pippin quite explicitly. They intend to go with Frodo as long as he's going. And I guess I would have to believe, I'm talking myself into believing, that Gimli and Legolas are intending to go to Mount Doom, unless chance allows them to turn aside, right? And what else do we have here? So then that leads us to, and I think that ties in with Gimli's objection kind of here. Gimli pushes back on the idea that they can turn aside if they feel like it, right? Or tarry or turn back. Faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens, says Gimli. So Gimli expects the road to darken, or thinks, agrees that it might, but he would consider it faithless to turn back or turn aside then. He would consider that to be breaking faith. And I put this in the Discord chat, who, so he and, I won't get into it, but he and Elrond kind of have a little tete-a-tete here on that. I seem to be in the minority that I tend to agree with Gimli here, especially his line, "Sworn word may strengthen quaking heart." Yes, I think so too. I think that if the road darkens and if you got your knees knocking and something scary is happening, fulfillment of your oath can be a strong motivator to stay the path, right? That's my take on it anyway. And Elrond seems kind of wishy-washy to me. Yeah, you never know. You might get scared, and and I take the point that I can't remember. I'm sorry. Someone made in Discord. It might have been, I think it was Lindy, about Elrond being gun shy about oaths because the events of the Silmarillion, and I get that oaths aren't to be taken lightly, but I don't think they were always in the Silmarillion either. Elrond would know well Finrod Felagund's oath, and that was not, that was not ultimately to bad effect. Sorry, I'm just catching up here. Oh, Jesse is here too, and has caught up. Good. Yeah, Christie's point is good. It's implied that everyone going to Mount Doom probably isn't the plan because we're thinking not all of us are going to make it. Yeah, that's probably the case. That's grim but true. But it is the intent, at least, of several of them. Another new name, Jorge. Welcome, Jorge. And I eat mochis. Welcome. Serena, welcome. Hello, everyone. New folks, it's awesome. Kelly is saying that, it's Kelly Marie. Welcome. Awesome. Quote that says Gimli might only go to the mountain pass. I don't remember that, but if you find it, let me know. That would be good intel. Um, Lola says, I always thought that while Gimli might have been thinking about going to Moria, he wouldn't, knowing that the elf is going to go to the end with Frodo. Yeah, he's not going to be shown up by an elf. I don't know if, I mean, Gimli would know what happened to Balin, right? Obviously he does. He was at the council, and, I mean, he was in Erebor. I don't know that he would be eager. Well, we're going to see, I guess, but would he be interested in going? Oh, Jenny made it too. Hi, Jenny. Are you joining from work? Yeah, we have a lot of people joining from work on lunch break. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, well, post it in Discord if you find it, Kelly. But absent evidence to the contrary, I think Gimli's in it to the end, or intends to be. Last thing from that. Okay, that's the thing I was going to get to, but then I held myself back. Should this be the company? And I think this was another of Kelly's questions, basically, should Merry and Pippin have gone back to the Shire, right? It always strikes me, so this is Elrond's word here. There remain 2 more to be found, said Elrond. These I will consider. Of my household, I may find some that it seems good to me to send. And that's when Pippin objects and Gandalf backs him up. It's not just me, right? Glorfindel should have gone. I know I'm going to have at least one vote here with me. But Pippin is a child in the reckoning of his people. He is not of age. This is a minor. He should absolutely, and like, I totally agree with Elrond here. In any case, I judge that the younger of these 2, Peregrine Took, should remain. My heart is against his going. My heart is strongly against his going too. He's a child. Like, he should not be. Send Glorfindel, or send 10. Why not? I just don't get this call. Why not Glorfindel and Erestor? Yes, I mean, Gandalf's point is well made, that even if you chose for us an elf lord such as Glorfindel, he could not storm the Dark Tower, nor open the road to the fire by the power that is in him. No, but he could do other useful things, couldn't he? I don't think the case is well made. And if I were Elrond, I would say, okay, I will throw you in a sack and prevent you from going, or put you in jail, or something. No, you're not allowed to go, Pippin. Go home. I don't know. I guess I go back to the Leaf by Niggle line, right? It could have been different, but it couldn't have been better. Okay, I believe that it couldn't have been better, but it could have been different, and it could have worked out just as well. Or, in the end, similarly. But, no one is ever told what might have been to cross the streams a little bit, go into Narnia. Oh, Jesse's found the line. Okay, so where is it? You're right. Absolutely. Kelly, you were right. Yep. Let's read it out here. Okay. For the rest, they shall represent the other free peoples of the world. Elves, dwarves, and men. Legolas shall be for the elves. Also, why does Legolas is a Sylvan elf from Mirkwood. Why wouldn't, just, as a placeholder, like, Glorfindel goes in first, and then, like, if we need another elf, then maybe Legolas. Anyway. And Gimli, son of Glóin, for the dwarves. They are willing to go at least to the passes of the mountains, and maybe beyond. Okay, so you're right. Their commitment is go at least to the passes of the mountains, which means, like, right here. Like they're willing to go on the first 8% of the journey. Maybe more. We'll see what happens. I mean, he's going to have Gandalf. Gandalf is going with you, and your faithful servant Gandalf will go. For this shall be his great task, and maybe the end of his labors. So, okay, so Gandalf's in it for the long haul. So at least he'll have a guide. But the rest are just kind of like, yeah, we'll hang out for a bit. That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah, Nikki says, I think Pippin and Merry. I don't think anyone would believe them or do anything if they went back to the Shire, so it would be a wasted effort. Possibly true. That's true. Yeah. Paige asks, why 9 from Elrond? Yeah, it's symmetry with the riders, I think. Where was the line? The company of the ring shall be 9, and the 9 walkers shall be set against the 9 riders that are evil. That's the extent of the rationale. Yeah, okay, sorry, I hadn't caught up, but that was answered. Yeah, good. Right, yeah. Yeah, Dominica says, hobbits will do important things. I guess you never know what will come and who will be the most important in the quest. And I can't escape the feeling that it's just kind of like, you never know. This could work out well. I don't. Well, I was going to say I don't see the wisdom in it, but explicitly there isn't wisdom in it from Gandalf's perspective. I think Elrond that in this matter it would be well to trust rather to their friendship than to great wisdom. The corollary to that is this is unwise, but they're bros, so that's a little flippant of me, but we're explicitly not choosing the wise thing, picking Glorfindel and Eristor or something like that, right? Or Elrond himself. Why shouldn't he go? I think they explicitly reject great wisdom in favor of friendship and fellowship. Yeah. Okay. That that's a good chunk of time, and now we still haven't even. Most people wanted to talk about Caradhras, so let's do a little Caradhras talk. Hey, I got a question for you. What color is the horn at the tip of Caradhras? Did anyone happen to get that? Did anyone see maybe 3 direct references to the color of the tip of Caradhras, and then I don't know, 3 more? Did anyone else find that significant? So first of all, where was it? Where the sunlight slanted upon it, it glowed red. Oh, sorry, its great bare northern precipice was still largely in the shadow, but where the sunlight slanted upon it, it glowed red. 368. It's then translated, the name of the mountain, as, Baranzibar, the Red Horn, cruel Caradhras. At dusk the company set out, and turning now half east, they steered their course toward Caradhras, which far away still glowed faintly red in the last light of the vanished sun. On the third morning, Caradhras rose before them, a mighty peak, tipped with snow like silver, but with sheer naked sides, dull red, as if stained with blood. Is it Mount Portent? This is ominous, right? We're hit over the head with this. This is a bad mountain. And so we talked about this also in the chat. What is the spirit animating the mountain? Is there a spirit within it? Is it just its own thing? The stones talk in Holland to Legolas, so is this kind of another element of that. If the stones can talk, does Caradhras have its own spirit? I mean, everything about this is anthropomorphized, right? It has a will. Clearly, it is implied that it has a will. Well, it is discussed. So so does it have a will or not? But I think evidence in favor of its own sentient personality is this perpetually red tip, right? This is ominous. But Boromir seems to have I'm gonna say a more mundane explanation, but not at all. He's wondering if their opposition from the mountain is a contrivance of the enemy. They say in my land that he can govern the storms in the mountains of shadow that stand upon the borders of Mordor. He has strange powers and many allies. Well, I mean, slight spoiler, we're going to find that he can govern the storms in the mountains of shadow. Yeah, that's a thing he can do. And this is just one of those moments that I love from the book that, was kind of ported into the movies but not done as well. His arm has grown long indeed, said Gimli. If he can draw snow down from the north to trouble us here 300 leagues away. His arm has grown long, said Gandalf. I mean, that's just good writing. So Gandalf doesn't dismiss that as a possibility, right? Is this a contrivance of Sauron? Sure, why wouldn't it be? I mean, strange allies, that leaves open the possibility that Gandalf is like influencing the mountain or conniving with the mountain to just cause general havoc, right? Like, don't let anyone through here, gum up the works a little, mess with men and elves and dwarves. I don't know, but sure, messages could be sent between them in some way, I have to imagine. They're not telepathically linked, of course, that doesn't work, but is it... And then the other part of this debate was Boromir. We cannot go further tonight, said Boromir. Let those call it the wind who will. There are fell voices on the air, and these stones are aimed at us. I do call it the wind, said Aragorn, but that does not make what you say untrue. There are many evil and unfriendly things in the world that have little love for those that go on two legs, and yet are not in league with Sauron, but have purposes of their own. Some have been in this world longer than he. Caradhras was called the Cruel and had an ill name, said Gimli, long years ago, when rumor of Sauron had not been heard in these lands. So there are two options here that I read, right? Either Caradhras is just a jerk and he's flinging stuff at the party because he feels like it, or he feels as though he's being challenged, or whatever. This is his game. Or Sauron is his ally and is influencing him to do this, to, mess with people as they go by. And I think Aragorn's point is kind of, actually, it's Gandalf's. It matters little who is the enemy if we cannot beat off his attack. Yeah, I mean, good point. But the point about there being fell voices on the air and the stones being aimed, I mean, the stones being aimed makes me think back to The Hobbit. I mean, are there stone giants hucking things? Is that part of the mountain? Are they servants of the mountain? Like, we're going pretty deep down the rabbit hole here. But fell voices on the air, I mean, I thought going back to the movie and the book, I thought they did that very well. I mean, they used Saruman as a stand-in here, but using his voice is perfectly consistent with him, and him contriving a storm on the mountain worked perfectly well. It worked very well in the movie, and it works well enough with the book, right? There being a fell voice on the air. I liked that. But whose voice is this? It can't be Sauron's voice, I don't think. I don't think that's the implication. So is it the voice of the mountain somehow? Is it... I kind of like to think it's stone giants for the symmetry with the Hobbit, but I don't know. Oh, Nikki was there ahead of me. vaguely reminded me of the stone giants in The Hobbit, but as a whole mountain. Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of connecting them too. And I think that's, I mean, they both parties passed over this mountain and were waylaid by storm and snow and rocks, right? So I don't think it's inappropriate of us to be thinking about giants. Quentin made the other point that in the movie they made it Saruman, yeah. And you know what? I don't think that didn't work. That was fine by me. And Christy notes, his arm has grown long. Yeah, I mean, Gandalf confirms that this could be a contrivance of Sauron's. Yeah. Did Sauron offer some rings for the mountain for helping him? Yeah, exactly. It's basically over top of Moria. The realm of Moria is his forever. Plot twist, Caradhras is mean because it's a volcano. Yeah, spoilers. Yeah. Christy says, presuming a mountain has thought, it could shudder or make earthquakes to shift boulders to make them fall. Yes. Aiming seems a little more, I guess, aiming is a lot to ask of a shuddering mountain. I think on that. Anyway. Here's the other thing that kind of makes me wonder if it's all mountain. Can a mountain produce snow? In what way does a mountain produce snow? Like, I know how clouds are formed. I know altitude and stuff and air being forced up. Does the mountain do that in any meaningful way? Is that something that a malevolent mountain, can accomplish? Now Gimli seems to think so. Where was it? It's when they decide to turn back. Yeah, Gimli looked up and shook his head. Caradhras has not forgiven us, he said. He has more snow yet to fling at us if we go on. Why? How? I get that looking up and seeing snow coming in the clouds, but how does that work? I'm with the whole this is the mountain thing until, with the stones falling and whatnot. Why the storm? How is that Caradhras? I don't really. I'll leave that an open question because I don't know that. I like Gandalf getting a little touchy here with Legolas, by the way, since I'm on that page. If Gandalf could go before us with a bright flame, he might melt a path for you, said Legolas. The storm had troubled him little, and he alone of the company remained still light of heart. If elves could fly over mountains, they might fetch the sun to save us, answered Gandalf. But I must have something to work on. I cannot burn snow. Which is kind of fun because, sure, he could burn it a little. Maybe not the extent that Legolas is thinking of. But I like his snappy response at him, too. I like grumpy Gandalf. That's my favorite Gandalf. Okay. The last thing I wanted to say, so if you have any more questions or anything you wanted to touch on, put it in the chat now and I'll finish up. The last thing I wanted to say, and I think this was another point of Kelly's, was how well Boromir comes off here. And I think, Aragorn forges a path too, right? Aragorn does a lot of work here in digging a path through and carrying hobbits around. But it's told from the perspective of Frodo, right? Of course, as narrator. And I think that it's interesting how well Boromir comes off. Now, he's a little braggy, which is fine. That's his MO. That's kind of who he is. I don't think it's kind of in an endearing way to me. Doughty men too, if I may say. But because then it comes back a little self-deprecating. The lesser men with spades might have done just as well, or better, something like that. I can't remember what his line was. But he comes off very well, both in caring for the hobbits, right, when they're getting buried in snow in their shelter. Thinking about the fire, everyone bringing wood, and then in of course forging a path with his great arms and carrying them through. I think that it's important after the council, where it is possible, though I push back against it a little, to get a at best mixed view of Boromir, and at worst kind of negative, which I don't think is earned. I think he was put in a pretty tough spot at the council, but I don't think that he's introduced in the most positive way possible. I think this is a really good passage of his. I think he does everything right here. And I think it's important to see how commendable it is and what a valiant man he is, and a good man, right? Not just loving the sword for its sharpness, right? He is empathetic and caring, and I think that really struck me in this read through. Yeah, well, exactly. Being braggy is often a warrior thing. Nothing too bad. But, not bragging if you can back it up, right? And Boromir definitely can. Christy, great point. I hadn't really thought about that. She says, I did have the thought, when Gandalf reluctantly started the wood on fire, that he complained that it was announcing him. Well, dude, maybe don't use the green flames then. What's wrong with regular yellow? Never occurred to me. I mean, the obvious answer is he can't. Like, that's just his color, right? But remind me someone from The Hobbit. I feel like there were purple and green and some other ones. Like, I feel like he was shooting different colored flames and pine cones and stuff like that in The Hobbit. Was he shooting any red or yellow ones? I don't remember that. It seems like he is cursed to only create odd colored flame. Like, I have to imagine that if he could have created a yellow, orange, red flame, he would have, rather than announcing himself to all eyes to see. But it's never occurred to me that Gandalf doesn't have that power. It's a good point. Yes, Yola makes the point that snow there is unusual. Yes, I think snow at that far down on the foothills, Aragorn said, was unusual. Yeah. Yeah. Valia, I don't think I've seen your comment here before. Awesome, welcome. About aiming boulders. What if mountains can feel people, like skin, and then throw stones in the general direction? I buy that. I buy that they could feel where they are. Absolutely. My issue is more with the aiming. Like, I guess you kind of let loose some rubble in the general vicinity of higher up of where they are. Like, not, you don't try not to shake the other side of the mountain for no reason. But then, it's got to be like points or something like that, right? What's the mechanic? And I mean, like, I'm thinking of it like a plinko board. It's tough to aim when you're dropping something from really high up that's going to slide down a mountain, right? You can shake something loose in that area, but it's not going to be in the area. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, page says Frodo gave his approval for Aragorn. I would have begged for you to come. Boromir is still an unknown. Maybe this was Frodo pointing out his qualities after the council. I think so. I think this is Frodo making, and again, remember, this is written within the conceit of the story after all of the events of the War of the Ring take place. This is Frodo highlighting something, highlighting exactly how excellent Boromir's quality was. And yeah, Quentin, I agree. Boromir's taking charge here. He has literally been raised his entire life to eventually lead as a steward of Gondor, so he isn't shy to jump in when he needs to. Absolutely. He's a born leader. Absolutely. And born and raised leader. He has the quality to do this, right? He's a pretty good statesman. We saw in the council. He was put in a tough spot, and I think he did pretty well. Some of his tendencies showed through, but, he's good at this. Like, he is not a deficient man. He's a very impressive guy. Okay, Aiden's question. Did Bilbo write some of Frodo's journey? Could this be the first part that Frodo wrote entirely himself? So this is his true perspective on Boromir. Maybe Council Boromir was through Bilbo's lens. I like this game, this who wrote what part. That is, I got a lot of bless yous. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Where did Bilbo, so that is a possibility that I can consider, and it's a good one, and there's evidence in favor of it. If you want to know my guess is, what is it, after chapter 3, I think, the tone shifts. The first couple of chapters are very Hobbit-like as in from The Hobbit. The tone of the first few chapters sound a lot like Bilbo's there and back again journey. I can read those a lot as being in his pen. It gets more grave after that, and that's where I read Frodo is taking it up, less jocular and Bagginsy. But you make a good point here, and that's possible, Aiden. So Nikki asks, didn't he use the green? Gandalf used the green flames on purpose to say Gandalf is here? No, I think I read that as him saying, well, this is a last resort, and if any eyes can see it, I've given myself away, so that's not good. And I think that's reinforced by the next line. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, but the company cared no longer for watchers or unfriendly eyes. Their hearts were rejoiced to see the light of the fire. So, but the company cared no longer. I think the but there indicates that, well, yeah, that was bad or potentially bad, but we don't care. We just want fire. Yeah, Quentin is also saying that the part of the story up to the council could have been Bilbo. I think it absolutely could have been. That works, like, up until where Frodo leaves Rivendell. It works chronologically for that to have been Bilbo's writing. But I see a tonal break after Three's Company. So that's my guess. Okay. I think we'll end it there. And I am excited for A Journey in the Dark. And I don't think that's a particularly long chapter, is it? 30-odd pages. Fairly long. Let's do it anyway. Let's do one full chapter for Sunday, and next week we'll talk about it. It looks to me, I don't know what, confession, part of the reason we did it this live on Friday was make it convenient for the European folks, which I've been promising for a while. The other was just that this week was nuts for me, and last night wouldn't have worked very well anyway. So that it was a little selfish there too. But I should be able to make either one work next week, I think. So let's leave that one with me to see what we're going to do. But in any case, starting Sunday on the Discord server, we'll talk about A Journey in the Dark, and we'll pick some options for close reading, and that'll be that. Yeah, that's all for me, folks. I will leave this up for reviewing later if you want. And if you've missed any, I saw, who was it? Somebody's laptop, Nikki's Blue Screen of Death came up. So I'll leave it up for review if you want, and have a great Friday and a great weekend. Bye, everyone.